Has Donald Trump finally slipped Elon Musk's leash? Well, as backlash continues to mount against Elon Musk and Doge, forcing Republicans to face very angry constituents, we're starting to see the first signs of real pushback from Donald Trump against Musk himself, and it all took place at a cabinet meeting earlier today. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, as we've discussed on this channel, it is an increasingly common perception that Musk is the co-president of Donald Trump or shadow president pulling Trump's strings. We've also seen some signs over the past several months that Trump is uncomfortable with the perception, right? While also trying to manage it because he knows that Musk is useful. And Musk, of course, being much smarter than Trump, also recognizes the utility of having influence over the sitting president. So it's very much a symbiotic relationship between two people who are otherwise parasites. But what's interesting is we're finally starting to see some pushback from Trump himself, where previously there's really been none. Politico reports on this. Trump to cabinet. Musk has no authority to fire workers. Trump convened his secretaries with Musk to clarify power. Trump convened his cabinet in person on Thursday to deliver a message. You're in charge of your departments, not Elon Musk. According to two administration officials, Trump told top members of his administration Musk was empowered to make recommendations to the departments, but to not issue unilateral decisions on staffing and policy. Musk was also in the room. The meeting followed a series of mass firings and threats to government workers from the billionaire Tesla founder, who helms the Department of Government Efficiency, that created broad uncertainty across the federal government and its workforce. Doge's actions have faced ferocious resistance in court and criticism from Democratic lawmakers and some Republicans. Trump's message represents the first significant move to narrow Musk's mandate. According to Trump's new guidance, Doge and its staff should play an advisory role, but cabinet secretaries should make the final decisions on personnel, policy, and the pacing of implementation. Musk joined the conversation and indicated he was on board with Trump's directive. According to one person familiar with the meeting, Musk acknowledged that Doge had made some missteps, a message he shared earlier this week with members of Congress, and we did a video about that previously. Trump stressed that he wants to keep good people in government and not eject capable federal workers en masse, according to one of the officials. It's unclear whether the new guidance will result in laid-off workers getting rehired. The timing of this meeting was influenced by recent comments from Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who said on CNN Tuesday that cabinet secretaries should retain the full power to hire and fire, according to one official. The official said Trump has been flooded with similar concerns from other lawmakers and cabinet secretaries. So again, the backlash is working. I want you to follow this before we go to the rest of the article. We have seen consistent viral backlash in person at these town hall events against Republican lawmakers, such that Republican congressional leadership has urged their Republican lawmakers to stop having in-person town halls so they don't get the viral public backlash. Basically, they're ducking and running. But the pressure that's already been applied has forced these Republican lawmakers and even the cabinet secretaries who want to feel some power. I'm sure they don't want to totally capitulate to an unelected MAGA billionaire, right? Kash Patel, FBI director, doesn't want to roll over for Elon Musk because he's cultishly devoted to Trump, not Musk. So all of this pressure has trickled upwards, right? There's no guarantee, but it is possible to pressure Republicans to back off if they fear you, the voter, and the political consequences of your vote more than they do Elon Musk's unlimited money, okay? Such that Trump himself has been flooded with concerns. Think about it. Trump's admonition to agency heads could impact mounting legal scrutiny facing Doge. Judges have increasingly expressed frustration and bewilderment that the Trump administration's inability to explain who is in charge of the bureaucracy-culling effort and whether Musk himself is playing any role in ordering up the steep cuts to programs and jobs. Complicating the matter further, Trump declared during his address to Congress Tuesday that Musk is indeed the, quote, head of Doge, a label that immediately reverberated in several of the Musk-focused court cases. Trump's assertion conflicted with the White House's representation in court last month that Musk had no independent authority to make policy decisions. As a matter of fact, many of the people bringing these lawsuits immediately pounced and sent updates, filed new briefs, new updates in their court cases saying, hey, the White House is trying to say that it's actually this Amy Gleason person who's the Doge administrator, but here we have Trump once again indicating that it is Musk, not Amy Gleason, who's in charge of Doge. This is going to create a potential legal nightmare for Trump. Judges will now have to decide whether Trump's after-the-fact characterization of Musk's role resolves the already existing legal challenges to Doge's work. It comes just as some of those lawsuits reach a new fact-finding phase that could produce more clarity on the SpaceX's boss's involvement in running the government. A federal judge last week ordered sworn testimony from some Doge officials and affiliates to more fully understand the group's work. And 2 lawsuits aimed at stopping Musk himself, one in Washington, D.C. and another in Maryland, are reaching crucial milestones as well. Those lawsuits allege that Musk has been exercising an unconstitutional degree of power for a government official who has not been confirmed by the Senate. So, folks, this is a pretty big deal. Now, again, will it last? Who the hell knows? You never know with these two. But I want you to consider, right? Musk endorsed Trump in July of 2024, the day that Trump was the victim of an assassination attempt, okay? What did we see after that? Well, immediately, it was almost like a switch flipped on Twitter, right? We saw that it had increasingly become a cesspool of bigotry and anti-Semitism and right-wing shitposting, right? But there have been studies after the fact which show that engagement for right-wing accounts began to seriously increase compared to the engagement of left-wing accounts. So even though nominally, according to polls, people who self-identify as Republican and Democrat are equally likely to use Twitter, the engagement that their accounts receive. So basically, if you're a right-wing poster on X, if you're a right-wing user on X, you're posting, you're tweeting, you're much more likely to see engagement, meaningful engagement, than a left-wing or pro-Democrat user, right? So there is an asymmetry, and it happened virtually overnight. What else did we find out? Well, according to public disclosures, Musk contributed at least $270 to $290 million to get Trump elected between July and November, a staggering sum of money. What else do we know? Well, Musk was basically omnipresent at Mar-a-Lago during the election and before Trump's inauguration, where, of course, he moved into the White House after President Biden left. He was renting property just a few yards away from Trump's bedroom. He was there. He was bullying his way into meetings to which he was not invited. Famously, Trump met with Jeff Bezos of Amazon, and Musk invited himself. He felt so comfortable to intrude on Donald Trump's meeting. Think about that. We also know that there was a continuing resolution last year under President Biden being negotiated by the Republican-led Senate and the Republican-led House and the Democratic-led Senate. It was happening on Trump's watch. He either approved it or didn't object to it or was too stupid to pay attention to it. But then Elon Musk ran over his skis and began to tweet one after another, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of tweets condemning this continuing resolution. It's a temporary stopgap measure to keep the government funded because the government was heading towards a shutdown and nobody wanted it. And so he just unilaterally started to condemn this continuing resolution and demanded that people vote against it. And then Trump, I guess, trying to get ahead of it, ran out and said, oh, yeah, actually, I hate this continuing resolution too. It sucks. And then both Trump and Musk made demands of the Republican lawmakers. Musk's demand was that any sort of stopgap measure continuing resolution needs to include language that makes it easier for people to invest in Chinese efforts. Okay, Musk has a lot of business tied up in China, right? So that would benefit him. Make it easier for people in America to invest in China, okay? And businesses in China. Trump's demand was you need to also include a debt ceiling increase, right? Because what's the debt ceiling? It's the limit to what the United States Treasury can borrow in order to pay the country's bills. And we have to regularly update it. It's a federal statute. It was raised or suspended multiple times under Trump. It was raised under President Biden. They negotiated President Biden and then Speaker Kevin McCarthy. It's something that, at least according to federal law, has to be raised or suspended in order for the United States Treasury to borrow more money to pay America's bills. Trump wanted Republicans to get that done before he came into office, basically make Biden do it, so Trump wouldn't have to negotiate with Democrats to get it done. He wanted to save his political capital. Okay, so they made competing demands. Musk made his demands. Trump made his. Republicans ignored Trump and gave Musk what he wanted, at least some of what he wanted, that loosening of restrictions from investiture from America into China. So Trump didn't get what he wanted. Musk did get what he wanted. That was a flex that Musk had. And both of them threatened Republican lawmakers if they didn't comply. But Trump's threats ran hollow, and Musk's threats were heated. We saw afterwards, Elon Musk shit-talked publicly Project Stargate, that AI private investment. I think it was $500 billion, if I'm not mistaken. Musk shit talked it because he has beef with Sam Altman, one of the players in that deal. So he publicly attacked Trump in a roundabout way, and Trump didn't say anything. We saw the H-1B visa fight, the MAGA civil war, right, between Musk and Steve Bannon, Laura Loomer, and others. And Trump, who has historically criticized H-1B visas, came out and sided with Musk. So we're seeing signs of Musk constantly like flexing his muscle and intimidating MAGA Republicans and even Trump himself into siding with him. But now we're seeing a situation where at least right now, Trump is pushing back and saying, no, Musk does not have that power. You have that power. And if you want to ignore him, go ahead. How long will that last? I don't know. But it's interesting to see that Trump is finally starting to strain on Musk's leash. And perhaps this portends a future division and divorce between them. Fingers crossed. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.